I attempted to beat Pokemon Violet with only one Paldean Wooper. So, I'm not original. This small YouTuber you may have heard of made a video a few years back where he beat Pokemon Platinum with only a single Wooper. Did his video do well? Oh yeah, it did. Am I shamelessly jumping on his hype train and trying to beat him to the punchline with the new Wooper form? Yes I am. Oh yeah, this is also going to be my first time playing the Gen 9 games, so as of recording this intro, I literally have no idea what I'm in for. Surely Paldean Wooper isn't that weak, right? Right? Okay, intro done. Enjoy the video. Unfortunately, we can't just start out with Wooper, so we've got to pick out some trash and trade it away the first chance we get to a secret project that I'm working on. Thankfully, Wooper is an early game encounter, but we still can't use it in the first fights against Arven and Nemona. After our quick visit to Los Platos and eradicating the Fido and Igglybuff populations in the area with the auto-battling feature, we get our first glimpse at the game's new mechanic, terastallization. After we take out Nemona's Fuecoco, she terastallizes her Palmy to the electric type, which definitely doesn't give her much of an advantage since Floppa is a ground type. There's some boring stuff we've got to do at the academy, like battling some Team Star grunts, gaining access to terastallization for ourselves, and listening to the opening remarks for this year's treasure hunt. Wooper's Terra type is ground, which doesn't pair well with the fact that it has the poison point ability rather than water absorb, but we're stuck with what we've got. The game really opens up at this point to promote free exploration, so I start going down the path of legends first to get the ride upgrades. Cloth is the first Titan that I have to beat, and it's located to the east, right before you reach Arctazan. I start with a super effective Mudshot on phase 1 and deal around a quarter damage as it blocks me in place. Well, that doesn't really matter though, since I only have one Pokemon. I then choose to terastallize on my next turn and poison it after it hits me with a Vice Grip? Didn't that move used to be spelled with a C? Mudshots now do a little shy of half with terastallization, but we bring it low enough to activate its Anger Shell ability. One more turn brings us to the end of the battle, where it scurries away to eat the sweet Herba Mystica. Phase 2 is a little easier because Arven joins us with a Shelder, and we take it on 2v1. I didn't realize the game wouldn't heal me here though, since I'm playing blind, so after being taken to 2 HP from a Rock Smash, I have to heal back up with a Super Potion, and start slamming into it with some more Mudshots. Oh, you thought I wasn't going to be using items in this run? Yeah, no, I definitely am, because otherwise it would take me ages to complete this, and going in blind definitely doesn't make it any easier. I know SmallAnt didn't use items in his run of Platinum, but 1, I'm not nearly as good at playing video games wrong as he is, and 2, I don't know this game literally at all. Maybe in the future I could try a run without items. Let me know in the comments if that's something that may be interesting in the future. Back to the battle though. Shelder's water guns also help to chip away at it with us. We activate its Anger Shell ability once again, so it does take out Shelder in 2 more turns, but this means I can smack it out of existence with another Mudshot. We recover the sweet Herba Mystica. Arven makes a tasty Arven original, which is then stolen by Miraidon so we can traverse the landscape faster. At least, that's what Professor Gigachad tells me anyways. At this point, it's worthwhile to go into detail about how I'm going to be training Floppa in this game. Terra-style raids. Raids can give experience candies, which from what I've seen allow us to gain levels at a much faster rate than battling wild Pokemon, even with the auto-battle feature. I stuff Floppa's face full of these candies and choose to take on the Levincia gym first. Even though this gym is technically the 3rd one that you should face, with our levels and type advantage I figured it'd be the easiest to start here. Plus I was already in the area, so yeah. I'm transferred into an e-girl ooh-woo for this challenge. Oh god, did I really just ooh-woo on YouTube? Anyways, we take on her simps and then get back to the main event. The start of the battle goes a bit rougher than I expected, because I didn't know she led with Wattrel, and I don't really have a good answer for it. I try to start with Yawn to put it to sleep so I can slowly whittle it down. Unfortunately though, Poison Point bites me in the back and poisons it before it can fall asleep. That's definitely not the only time that's going to happen in this run, don't you worry. Poison Jabs are dealing some decent damage at least, so it doesn't take too much longer to take it down. She brings in Bellabolt next, and so I go first chance I get to terastallize into the ground type, but fall immediately to a water gun. I guess we'll need some more training, but it's not so big of a deal since we are decently leveled to give some other challenges a shot. The Fire-type Team Star base is close by, so I try to take it on, but I'm not even able to beat the grunt outside yet, even with our type advantage. Yikes. After those 2 devastating defeats, I decided to head to the west side of the map instead, and try my hand at the bug gym in Cortando. At our current level, the olive roll challenge turns out to be a bit more difficult than the gym battle. So, Katie is a baker, and she works with bugs. I hate to think of all the cockroaches that she keeps in her kitchen. I'm sure she makes a mean cricket bread, though. Nimble and Tarantula both fall to a single poison jab each, and then I'm met with some serious confusion when she brings in a Teddiursa. But it all makes sense when she terastallizes it into a bug type. A single poison jab isn't quite enough for the victory, but the residual poison damage from Poison Point brings us the kill. I don't think I should be eating that cupcake. I'm on a roll now, so I waste no time reaching the Open Sky Titan, Bombardier, which has been actively trying to kill people who climb its mountain. We need to put a stop to this rogue behavior, so I start with a poison jab to bring it down to half health, and induce poison. Another poison jab seals the deal, ending the battle and causing the Titan to crash into the nearby mountain. This animation just looks so silly because it seems it doesn't complete the full loop and just ends up stuck against the wall instead. But I do think it is intentional. After the wall comes down, it eats some Sour Herba Mystica, and then I realize just how overleveled we actually are. Arvin's using a level 19 Knackley, while we're over here at level 38. A few more poison jabs is all that's needed to progress our story, though. Poor doggy. But we do get another tasty Arvin original out of the ordeal. This one allows us to surf on water. So I'm climbing this mountain, and I see this thing rolling off in the desert, so I decide to check it out and get my butt handed to me on a silver platter. Yeah, this Titan's way too strong for us right now. We'll come back later. So for the time being, let's wipe the floor with some more gym leaders. The Sunflora challenge in Arctizan is very laggy, considering that they use this challenge a lot for footage in the game's advertisements. You know, I would have expected it to be more optimized, but okay. Time to give Brassius depression again. And yet again, we are extremely overleveled, so this is a cakewalk. Poison jab on the Petlil and Smoliv, and then we can see Sudowoodo has achieved its greatest treasure and is finally a grass type. Too bad that makes it weak to our poison jab. We literally smack it into next morning for our victory. We do a few more raids to give us just enough candy to hit level 40. Why am I telling you this? Because Wooper learns Earthquake at level 40, which is the strongest ground type move available in its arsenal. With this new move, we are finally able to take on the Levencia gym again. I still don't have an answer for her watch roll, but we're now 17 levels overleveled, so this should go fine. I start with Amnesia to prepare for her later team members, then take it out in a single shot with Poison Jab. This reduces the damage we take from Bellabolt's water gun when she brings it out. Our Earthquake just barely fails to take it out, but since its water gun is already doing so little, I set up another Amnesia and finish it off with Earthquake. Her Luxio reduces our attack with Intimidate, which is unfortunate since Earthquake is a physical move. I take the opportunity to heal, then end up flinching from Bite on the next turn. It takes another Bite, which activates Poison Point. This doesn't give me much benefit though, since a single Earthquake is all we need, even at lowered attack. Her final team member is a Miss Magius, with Levitate that she terastallizes to the electric type, so that means it has no weaknesses. My Earthquake can't hit here, but I do get lucky and inflict confusion with Water Pulse, and then poison on the following turn with a Poison Jab as it goes for Hex. The poison damage and confusion hits it took bring it just low enough for us to claim the badge with another Poison Jab. If any of you found our electrifying battle to be shocking, go smash that subscribe button. Only pi% of my viewers are subscribed, and I hate irrational numbers. Yeah. At this point in my playthrough, I took an extreme detour on accident by climbing the Glaciado mountain and making it all the way to the Fairy Team Starbase somehow. This actually at the time seemed like a good thing for me though, since the strong physical water type move Waterfall was locked behind this base, and I had a decent type advantage. But I ended up losing immediately to Harrington outside the base, so I didn't even get a chance to take on the main event. So instead of slamming Wooper against this wall until we got lucky, I decided to head back out west and take on the Iron Treads Titan once again, since we have Earthquake in a lot more levels now. Earthquake is able to two-shot the first battle after terastallization, but we did nearly faint from its strong knockoff and rapid spin attacks. Arvin joins us with a Scovillum for the second phase, and we almost did take it out on the first attempt, but sadly its Stomping Tantrum did us in. We were pretty close to taking victory though, so I give the second phase another shot. It gets a critical hit Stomping Tantrum on the first turn though, so I can't get in any hits at all. But Arvin then literally almost takes it out on his own without me this time. So that's interesting. Usually the NPC trainers suck, but it turns out he's actually extremely useful. One more time, in and out, 2-minute adventure, let's go. But on my way there for the third time, I found this funny Dawn fan that clips in and out of existence as I move around it. I can't interact with it or anything either, but it still casts a full shadow. I really love just how much work went into polishing these games. Anyways, on the third attempt I leave with a terastallized Earthquake, which leaves Arvin with just enough HP to inflict the Iron Treads with a burn on the next turn before falling. This burn is critical to my success in this battle, since burns have the physical attack stat. This nerfs the Paradox enemy and deals residual damage so I can safely take it out with more Earthquakes. We leave it on a sliver, with just enough HP for the burn to bring us the victory. We get an extreme Warhead Sour original from Arvin that allows us to glide across the region with ease, and also brings a voice back to his poor Mabostiff. We take our new gliding ability to the next gym over in Kaskarafa, but this does not go all too well for me since Wooper is weak to water types, whether it's terastallized or not. This would be a point where Water Absorb or a Poison Terra type would have actually really come in handy. I read online somewhere that you can actually buy an ability capsule for 100,000 Pokédollars, so I sold most of my TMs and all of my treasure to reach that mark. But then it turns out that you need to have all 8 badges first. So I sold all that for nothing, and it leads to a big annoyance for me later on, since I sold the useful Trailblaze TM since at the time I didn't think Wooper could even learn it. We're level 55 going into this battle against Kofu, but his Veluza is a fast and fierce foe to be reckoned with. Aqua Cutter deals significant damage to us even with the drastic overleveling, and it also requires 2 Earthquakes to defeat. Take the M and turn it upside down Mumbo Wumbo is a lot less dangerous with its water pulses, and it isn't nearly as bulky. So 1 Earthquake is all that's needed to finish it off. Outlast is his Crabominable with the Iron Fist ability. Iron Fist gives a boost to moves based off of punches, which is practically all this thing has. Crab Hammer is by far the most dangerous one for us though, and sent us back to the Pokemon Center in a single turn. But it turns out we're also close to another gym of a similar level over in Medali, so I waste no time in completing the gym test there. This reveals a secret battlefield beneath the town's favorite food joint, instantly killing all the people there just hoping to have a nice meal. What better type for this average Joe to specialize in than the normal type, of course? I find it really funny that all these gym leaders have crazy professions and styles in all the past games, but this is just a normal guy. He leads with Kamala and gets off a yawn before I can strike with an Earthquake. A second Earthquake gets the knockout, but we fall asleep on the end of that turn. I don't know why I didn't terastallize here either, I must have just forgore. He brings in a cursed-looking Dunsparce. Dunsparce. And starts dealing significant damage with drill runs as we doze away. We finally wake up and hit it with Earthquake, which stops just shy of bringing it into the yellow. So I heal on the next turn, and my Poison Point activates when it hits us again. This gives us an opportunity to take it out on the next turn with another Earthquake. He does compliment us though, saying that being crushed by a Wooper is much better than being cornered by his boss. His boss must be really mean and scary. He terastallizes his Staraptor to become a pure normal type, meaning that I can hit him hard with my Earthquakes. 2 Facades bring us down to 11 HP and induce poison, which is really bad since Facade's power is doubled when inflicted with a status condition. To win at this point, I'm forced to Poison Stall with my stores of max potions and full restores until he succumbs to the poison damage. Not my proudest victory, but I'll take it. Up next is the Montanavera Gym, and my gym test is to help Moist Critical rev up the crowd for an epic rap battle. Go.
Baby! That's what I've been waiting for! That's what it's all about! Woo!
But he brings my entire world crashing down when he tells me I need 2 Pokemon to take on this gym. So, is it possible to beat Pokemon Violet with only 1 Wooper? Unfortunately, the answer is no. I just want to thank everyone so much for watching. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and I'll catch you later. Nah, I'm just kidding. I just need to get 2 of them. I'm not going to level up Floppa 2 though, since I want to try to beat this game as much as possible with the OG Floppa. The Floppa 2's role here is literally just to die on the first turn. I know that means Floppa is avoiding one of the attacks in the first turn, but I don't think there's another way around this obstacle. This is probably the best we're gonna get. So I tried beating this gym, and things seemed to go really well at first, but after she terastallizes Toxtricity, apparently both of her remaining team members get an Omni Boost? That's absolutely mental. There's no way I can beat that right now, so I take the loss with my tail between my legs and decide to cheer myself up by picking up a few easy victories that I missed earlier on. First, I decide to go back to the Fire Team Starbase, and this time things go a lot smoother, especially since we're like 40 levels beyond their ace at this point. It also turns out that now we actually need 3 of them to beat up Team Star, so I had to pick up Floppa 3. I also go back and break up the Poison and Dark type Team Star bases while I'm at it. I don't want to go into too much detail with all these battles because they're pretty one-sided as you can imagine. I also take on the 4th Titan Orthworm to claim the Salty Herba Mystica and jump higher on Miraidon. This battle wasn't too bad with the level difference and all, and since we had access to Water Pulse, but there is one super cursed thing in this battle that has haunted my nightmares ever since I first saw it. Yeah, I'd never thought I'd see a tentacle walking on 2 legs, and I wish I could unsee it now. So at this point, I finished 3 of the 5 Team Star bases, 4 of the 5 Titans, and 4 of the 8 gyms, and I'm already 8 or 9 hours into the challenge. And that's only going to get worse from here. Remember how I sold all of those TMs earlier? I realized at this point that Wooper could learn Trailblaze, which would actually be very helpful for the Cascarafa gym. To make more Trailblaze TMs though, I need Petlil leaves. I literally hunted Petlil for 2 hours, and I only got like 3 to spawn. I don't know if I was just getting unlucky or what, but I know this sucked hard. Anyways, with our new Trailblaze move, this battle was an absolute breeze. Veluza still hits us with an Aqua Cutter, but we hit a Trailblaze to raise our speed and go first on the next turn for the kill and another speed boost. From here, we do get outsped by the Wug Trio, but it's no match for more Trailblaze. Its GUI does unfortunately stop us from getting another speed boost though, but we don't really need it here since Crabominable is quite slow. Upon his Terastallization to the Water type, he makes himself weak to my Trailblaze, allowing me to take the victory with 2 hits after surviving a Rock Smash. No idea why he didn't go for Crabhammer, but I'll take it. Oh, we apparently beat this gym at level 69. Nice. All's going fine and dandy, but then... So, I've got to do that all again. Great. Anyways, badge victory number 2 done, and now we have to deal with a fight against Nemona. That's my reward for beating this gym twice? Another battle? Oh well. Nemona's entire team is weak to Earthquake, so this is essentially a non-issue. After even more grinding with raids, I finally feel better about taking on Harrington outside the Fairy-type Team Star base. And this time, things go much better. Morgrim leads with a Nasty Plot on the first turn, allowing me to get an easy clap with Poison Jab. Then he brings in Hattrem, who is quite dangerous and has access to Psychic. But for some reason, he opts to first use a Calm Mind instead. After a crit nearly takes it out, it goes for Psychic on the second turn, but I equipped a Pyapa Berry to minimize damage, seizing me the victory. From here, the Fairy base stands no chance since I deal significant damage with Poison Jabs. I do, however, take some time to fly back to Mezagoza and pick up a clear amulet from Delibird Gifts to prevent attack drops from Charm. The battle against their leader Ortega starts off with Floppa vs Azumarill. It goes for Charm first turn as expected, allowing me to slam hard with Poison Jab and get the lucky poisoning chance. After he fails with the Charm as well, a Trailblaze can then deal super effective damage while also giving me a much needed speed boost. Wigglytuff is second, but it gets one shot with another Poison Jab, and then it's time to deal with Dashbun, which gets poison pointed after hitting me with Crunch, then taken into the deep red from Poison Jab and residual poison damage. This brings it low enough for Trailblaze to knock out, leaving us +2 speed going into the Starmobile fight. I start with Earthquakes, which do a lot less damage than I'd hoped for, so instead I start going for Poison Jabs again, which do a lot more for some reason. I land 2 Poison Jabs, heal, then claim the well-deserved victory. Honestly, I thought the Starmobiles were all Steel types, so I'm surprised that Poison Jab even worked. So there's 5 major things left to do before the main league challenge, and the next task I want to check off is the final Titan fight against Dondozo and the Suicide Fish Tatsugiri. I call it the Suicide Fish because earlier in the run I was training up against them because all they would use in the wild was Memento, effectively killing themselves. This fight would, again, be a lot easier if Floppa had Water Absorb instead of Poison Point, but it's too late now. We're level 75, so in theory this shouldn't be too difficult, but instead of going for a water move, it simply chooses to Body Slam us. As usual, we go for the standard Poison Jabs and inflict poison on turn 2. We get low enough to need a turn to heal, but then I can start hitting back harder with Trailblaze, bringing it down into the red after residual damage. 1 Hyper Potion and a Trailblaze later, and that's the end of Phase 1. The second phase takes me 3 attempts to actually beat, so what I'm going to show you now is just the last of those. The Spicy Herba Mystica has powered up the Titan Dondozo this time around, but my new Yawn and Protect strategy is sure to be successful. I get off a Yawn first turn as it body slams Arven's Greedent. The Tail Whip supplied by Greedent will come in handy later for sure. On the second turn, I Protect to avoid an Aqua Tail as Greedent hits for fine damage with Takedown. When this Dondozo fell asleep, I actually realized they didn't include eyes closed models in this game to indicate sleep, which just feels really strange, since literally every game since Gen 4 has had at least some kind of visual indicator for that. I don't know if they just accidentally forgot to include this detail, or they were just cutting corners. Anyways, now I can start speeding myself up and dealing high damage with Trailblaze. Greedent's repeated tail whips are definitely appreciated here, since that means I can do more and more damage with each passing turn, until finally we take victory. Or so I thought. The suicide fish it ate earlier wants a piece of the action and challenges us as well. I protect first turn to try to scope out what it has, and it's a good thing I did, because otherwise I would have been taunted and my yawn strats would no longer work. It lands a devastating icy wind, but thankfully I can then yawn and protect to put it to sleep. Trailblaze does less than it did to Dondozo, but because of the taunt it got off on Greedent, takedowns are bringing it down very quickly. With this final Herba Mystica acquired, we now have access to climbing with Miraidon, and Arven's Mabostiff can finally be completely healed. GigaChad also instructs us and Arven at this point to head back to the lab, because he's been dumb and accidentally locked himself in the most dangerous place in the whole region. Oopsies. But before we can actually set off, Arven wants to test himself against us with his full force and healed partner, and unfortunately, we lose. Very badly. So to cheer myself up, I take my level 87 Wooper back to Montanavera to face off against the gym leader Rhyme. This time things go much smoother because I terrastalize turn 1 and get off the Omni boost for myself. Floppa 2 quickly falls from an Icy Wind, and I use turn 1 with Floppa to break Mimikyu's disguise with a Trailblaze. This gives us enough speed to then strike first on the next turn and take them both out with Earthquake. Outlast is then her Houndstone and her Ace Toxtricity. We're also given an attack buff for claiming their lives and get to see this cute little Griever dancing to the beat on top of her speaker arrangement. With all the buffs we've received so far, this battle ends up being a piece of cake. Much, much easier than it was earlier. These buffs in battle also gave me an idea for how to take on Arven much easier. I never banned the use of items in this playthrough, and there are a select few items that I can use to actually boost Floppa's stats without needing to have specific moves in our set to do so. All I've got to do is start by putting this Greedent to sleep with Yawn, then Terrastalize to remove my Psychic type weakness, since he has a chance to use Psychic Fangs. This then allows me to buff several times with Trailblaze to get off some minor damage, and finally heal with a Max Potion. Then, it's X time. I start by buffing with the X attack and defense to both boost the amount of damage I can potentially do and minimize the damage that I take. I then try to put Greedent to sleep again, but its Body Slam activates our Poison Point and negates our Yawn. So instead I just have to keep healing and using X items until it falls from the residual poison damage. This allows me to get up to +6 attack and +5 speed going into his Toadscruel, which at least isn't as cursed looking as Toadschool. We outspeed and emerge victorious with Poison Jab against both it and his Sko villain. Then we're up against the bulky Cloyster, which is the reason I needed to set up all those X attacks at the beginning. It wasn't just overkill. We again outspeed and hit it with Poison Jab. Then he brings in another bulky one with Garganical, and although my Trailblaze isn't quite enough to kill, it does allow me to get in another speed boost before his Mabostiff. We send this thing back to its crippled state with a single Earthquake. Finally, we can go check out the Great Crater. Oh wait, no, we have to beat the other storylines first. Darn. To finish up Team Star, all we have to do is beat the Fighting Squad, so that's what's next on my docket. Aerie is really no challenge since her Toxicroak wastes 5 turns with Sucker Punch, as we freely set up with our X items. It's then just a simple Earthquake sweep all the way as we take out our Toxicroak, Annihilate, Lucario, and Passimian. Revavroom takes 2 hits to kill even with +6 attack, but we take the return high horsepower like a champ and power through for the final star badge. I also found it pretty interesting that this evil team wasn't really evil at all, but were actually the ones who were being bullied in the first place. Maybe I'm the bad guy. Duh. We also get a bombshell dropped on us, that Cassiopeia is the leader of Team Star. I literally never could have guessed, it totally wasn't obvious at all. But what really wasn't obvious is that Clive is actually Director Clavel? How many plot twists are they gonna throw at me? I don't know if I can take this all. He's also Cassiopeia too? What? In all seriousness, the Clavel battle is another clean sweep with my X items. We start with Yawn against his Oranguru to begin our setup, but he does the exact same thing to us in return. So instead of going for damage on the second turn, I decide to immediately start setting up. I prepared for his return Yawn by equipping a Lumberry before the battle. Yeah, this battle took 2 attempts, so I knew that he had that move. After feeling equipped to take on the rest of his team, it's a simple Terrastalization sweep. 1 Earthquake is all that's required for his Oranguru. His Abomasnow takes a bit longer to take out with Poison Jab, since I also want to continue buffing my defenses for the later members of his team. Also, apparently they really nerfed Hail. I wonder why it took them so long and why they did it in the first place. It didn't seem so bad. Anyways, Gyarados is very scary, but after healing and being slammed with an attack drop from Intimidate, we're able to yawn and continue our setup. I start with some more X attack to negate the negative effects of Intimidate, then get the kill with Poison Jab. Houndoom and Poltegeist then get one shot with Earthquake, prompting him to bring in his ace Meowscarada, who has no chance against my incredibly fast Whoopie God's Poison Jab. Thanks for wasting my time, Clavel. You deserve this punishment from missed time. Now we can at least finally face off against the real final Team Star boss, Penny. That plot twist wasn't too shocking, at least. What would really be crazy is if she has a full team of evolutions. Oh, we're really doing this, huh? This is literally the team everyone makes when they're like 10 years old. Nailed it right on the head. In fact, I think I made one of these teams once. Umbreon is fine to set up against. It just causes us to take a bit more X attacks and X special defenses than usual thanks to the Baby Doll Eyes and Psychic. But once we're all set up, whoo boy, who would have thought a gimmick team would be so bad? Well, aside from literally everyone. Umbreon falls to Earthquake, Vaporeon goes down to Trailblaze, Leafy on Poison Jab, Flareon Earthquake, Jolteon Earthquake, and finally Terastallized Fairy Sylveon just needs one last Poison Jab. That finishes up the Starfall Street quest line, so now all that's left to do is finish the remaining 2 gyms in the Pokemon League. We're just going to go through these rather methodically since there's not too much difference between these remaining 2 battles and the last several in terms of actual strategy. Completing the Wii Fit Kung Fu training exercise allows us to face the gym leader in Alfornada, Psychic and Beauty Master Tulip. Even though I don't use Earthquake first turn here, it's important that I Terastallize to remove my weakness to Psychic types. Then the battle is just as easy as yawn on her Farai Giraffe, set up with X items and sweep. Earthquake destroys the Giraffe, then Poison Jab has no trouble overwhelming her Gardevoir and Espathra. We even managed to proc an unneeded Quick Claw against Florges for the kill with Earthquake. 7 down, only 1 more to go. Glaciato is a good way up the mountain, but thankfully I've been there before, so all I need to do now is call a flying taxi to take me to my next victory. Grusha has mastered the Ice type, which unfortunately has a big advantage over my Whoopie Boy. Instead of yawning on the first turn this time, I immediately go for 2 X special defenses to ensure I can survive a blizzard from his Frosmoth. I managed to stay alive at least, but not without getting frozen. Once I'm at max special defense, I'm free to start buffing my attack and speed, and even my defense for his later team members. He misses several blizzards, so I survive the onslaught of attacks to max out my attack and speed, heal with a full restore, then yawn to waste a turn of his Tailwind before taking the Moth down with Poison Jab. Now nothing he has can stand in my way, as I destroy his Beartic, Satitan, and his Ice Terastallized Ace Altaria with Terastallized Earthquakes. Also, I don't know if you guys have heard some of the cries in this game, but why do so many Pokemon in this generation sound like tugboats? Like, take some time to listen to Cloth and Satitan's cries. It sounds like they were literally recorded in a shipping harbor. All that stands between me and an adventure into the Great Crater is the Pokemon League. We level up Wooper to 100 and step through those final doors. But apparently there's this little pre-entrance interview we have to pass. They're just silly little questions though, so let's get to the real meat of things. Rika's up first, and she specializes in the ground type. She leads with Whiscash, and I go for the usual yawn and set up strategy. It's kinda crazy how broken these X items are. I literally don't think I've ever tried using them before. We end up being brought down to just 13 HP from Earth Power, but that doesn't faze me since we're just able to easily continue our setup without interruption. Future Sight did kinda give me a little scare at first, but it did much less than I anticipated, so we're all good. After I feel we've set up enough, I send it flying with Trailblaze. I then Terastallize to better eat the damage from an incoming Future Sight attack, and I would have taken Donphan out turn 1 with Trailblaze as well, if it weren't for its sturdy ability. That's no major issue though, since we're much faster and can get off an Earthquake quickly on the next turn. Third is her Camerupt, who falls quickly to yet another Earthquake, and then she brings in Dugtrio. Dugtrio is notoriously fast, but we're still faster and take it out with another Trailblaze. Then she brings out this absolutely disgusting blobfish of a Pokemon. I am so glad that my cute Wooper doesn't look as ugly as that thing. I really like how they made Wooper a single stage Mon in this game. I don't want to look at this thing anymore, get it out of here. We're then up to face a literal child who actually looks like she's still in diapers. No matter though, my walloping is not age discriminatory. Her steel types are really gonna have no match for me though, no matter how much she may brag about them. Instead of yawning first turn this time, I immediately go for a double defense buff. Then I decide to really make the most out of this battle, I'm gonna have to yawn. This then means I can continue buffing for several more turns. Using these X items makes the battle a heck of a lot longer, but it's worth it in the long run for the amount of RNG time save they're giving me. After finishing my setup, an Earthquake brings down her Copperaja and she sends in Corviknight to try to wall me. I yawn first turn, then go for Trailblaze to try to boost my speed some and get some decently reliable damage. But I get a critical hit and realize there's one more item I can use to maximize my winning odds. A Dire Hit. With a Dire Hit, I'll have a much better shot of getting crits to land, which means I can take out Corviknight before it can do too much damage to me. But of course when it wakes up, it somehow gets 2 crits with Body Press somehow, which I really wasn't expecting since it was me who used the Dire Hit, not her. We finally take it down with the Trailblaze, bringing us face to face with Bronzong. I try for Earthquake because I don't know if it has Heatproof or Levitate, and of course I lose my little wager there. So instead I have to put it to sleep and then chip away with more Trailblazes. She's managed to somewhat outsmart my outsmartening. No matter though, as she doesn't wake up before being knocked out. Only 2 more left, and up next is her Magnezone, which thankfully isn't immune to my ground-type moves. But it does have Sturdy. But all it does with its 1 turn of freedom is use a useless Light Screen, so I finish it off with Earthquake. Her last Pokemon is a Tinkaton, but as you can imagine, it falls quickly to 1 more Earthquake. Hey, look who's back! It's Larry! He's kinda ominous in that suit amongst this brightly lit room though.
He's just standing there, menacingly!
Anyways, he's not allowed to use normal types this time round, so he uses the next most normal thing. Birds. He leads with Tropius, and yeah, I'm not even gonna say what I do here. You know the drill. Poison Jab kills Tropius, Altaria, Staraptor, Oricorio, and Flamigo. Sorry Larry, I really hope this doesn't affect your Christmas bonus. Last up, we have to face our art teacher Hassel. I have a thing or two to teach him about beauty. Let's skip the setup part again and get right to the sweep, Actually, I guess I shouldn't call this a sweep technically. During my setup, the Noivern poisoned itself on my point, and so it ended up taking care of itself. I'm certainly not complaining about that. Dragalge then falls to a single Earthquake, Poison Jab handles Flapple, Earthquake takes out Haxorus, and finally Baxcalibur just needs 1 last Earthquake for us to prove victorious over the entire Elite test. The only thing between me and that crater now is La Primaria Gita. Also, she literally just basically told me that her fatal flaw is being too perfect at Pokemon battles. That would be like Tulip saying her fatal flaw is being too beautiful? I just don't get it. Anyways, I start trying to set up against her Espathra like usual, but I didn't know about its Opportunist ability, which copies every stat change I undergo. So that means I'm gonna have to quickly take it out and try to set up against something else. This doesn't prove to be too difficult at least, since I managed to put it to sleep. All I need is 2 Earthquakes to seal the deal and bring in her Veluza for me to set up on instead. Not ideal since it's a water type, but I'll take what I can get. I already set up a next defense anyways, so I should be fine for the most part. Liquidation takes a good chunk of our health out, and our Poison Point again irritates me by nullifying another one of my important yawns. I know that when you buy these X items at the Chansey Pharmacy, they tell you to only take the recommended dose, but I think we've given Wooper enough at this point to overdose it 30 times over. Once we're ready to start sweeping though, this battle is as good as done. Veluza falls to the poison without us hitting it a single time, and she brings in Gogoat. I remember from my grass playthrough of Pokemon X that Gogoat is actually pretty good, but it definitely has no shot against my beefy Floppa. We don't have an Amogus this time to save us from Avalugg, but we don't need saving today. We take it out with a single Earthquake, bringing in her King Gambit, who meets the same fate. And finally she has a rock terastallizing Glamora, which is handled just as easily as all the others with a final Earthquake. Well, that's it. We're the champion. Now let's go into the crater. Nimona, please, no, you're gonna embarrass yourself. Oh my god, we finally found him. The real Clive. Okay, now it's time for the crater. I've only been looking forward to this for what, like the past 10 hours? We gather our allies Nimona, Penny, and Arven, then descend into the Zero Gate. We're faced by some fearsome Paradox Pokemon and a second Miraidon on our journey to the bottom, but we finally make it to the lab where Turo has locked himself in. Okay, I'm not gonna lie though, up until this point I thought these games were fun additions to the series, but the amazing ending here with the Professor story really puts this game over the top for me. Like, honestly, I've never seen anything as crazy for them to reveal that a beloved character closely related to one of our best friends has actually been dead for years. And it's even crazier that he was replaced by an AI designed to protect a real-life time machine at all costs. The story is like on the same level as the twist in Sun and Moon with Luzamine, except executed so much better to the point that I was clueless up until the moment this was revealed. Anyways, we have the final boss battle to take on, and AI Turo uses an entire future team, which I'm just kinda guessing the types of since I haven't really seen any of these Pokemon before in my life. He also somehow turned into a true gamer, mixing in numbers with his words. so I have no idea how I'm gonna beat him now. Oh wait, yeah I do. X items. God, this battle just looks so awesome. Yeah, we'll start with a yawn and then buff our special defenses first. Then we're free to move on to speed and attack to finish everything off. Iron Moth and Iron Thorns both fall to Earthquake. Iron Bundle is then handled easily by a Trailblaze, then Iron Jugulas faints to a Poison Jab. When he sends in Iron Hands, I realize that he's only using Pokemon caught in Master Balls. This man is hacking! Kick him out of Nintendo Online Pokemon tournaments for good. Iron Hands fakes us out for a turn, but that can't stop it from meeting its demise with Earthquake. And then for Iron Valiant, I feel it's only right to Terrastalize to take the kill, and so that's exactly what I do. Goodbye, Ripoff Gallade. There's only one more battle left, but it's one where we can't use Wooper, so it doesn't really count for this challenge. Besides, it's just a bunch of anime plot armor anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, but this reunion with Turo and Arven has just been the saddest thing ever. I know Arven didn't really like his dad all that much, but this is just painfully hard to read. And with that, I'd like to thank you all for watching this challenge through to the end. It was super difficult, but that's exactly what made it so fun. This is my first time ever trying to beat a game with a single Pokemon, but now that I've managed to actually prove to myself that I can do this, I may try to beat more games like this with even more strict rules in the future. Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be interested in. If you liked the video, I hope you'll consider subscribing. I make Pokemon content on a roughly monthly basis, and I'm always trying to improve my video producing techniques, and I'd appreciate you joining me for the ride. As always, comments are encouraged to provide constructive criticism, ideas, or good vibes in general, really. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch y'all later.